The problem in your life may not be a lack of intelligence. Maybe it is worse. You know too much, understand too much, think too much, but you are still living without wisdom. And this is one of the truths of Proverbs. A person can be intelligent and still destroy their own life with foolish decisions, because there is no point in being intelligent if you do not have wisdom. You know how to speak, but you do not know how to listen. You know how to plan, but you do not know how to obey. You know how to make money, but you do not know how to manage it. You know how to impress people, but you do not know how to govern yourself. If you are willing to live with wisdom so that every area of your life can flow well, so that things can begin to fall into place, then stay with me until the end, because today you are going to learn how to unlock your life simply by learning how to use wisdom in your favor. Many people think intelligence is enough to win in life. A person thinks that if they study more, learn more, watch more videos, read more books, consume more information, and understand more theories, everything will automatically change. But look around. How many intelligent people are still stuck, lost, confused, frustrated, and without direction? How many people know what they should do, but keep repeating the same mistakes? This reveals an uncomfortable truth. Not every full mind lives an aligned life, because information without wisdom may impress other people, but it does not transform the heart. A person can know what is right and still choose what is wrong. They can know the path and still walk in the opposite direction. They can understand money and still live without financial order. They can know about relationships and still hurt the people they love. They can talk about purpose and still wake up every day with no peace, no clarity, overthinking, trapped in the same emotional chaos as always. And here is the central point of this video. Intelligence helps you understand life, but wisdom teaches you how to live. Intelligence collects answers, but wisdom builds direction. Intelligence can explain the problem, but wisdom changes behavior. Intelligence can open doors, but wisdom keeps you from destroying what you received. And that is why so many people have potential, talent, ability, and knowledge, but live with wasted potential because they know a lot, but practice very little. Proverbs 4:7 says, "Wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom." Notice, the text does not say that money is the principal thing. It does not say fame is the principal thing. It does not say appearance, diplomas, opportunities, or intelligence are the principal thing. The Bible says wisdom is the principal thing. Because when wisdom is missing, even what should be a blessing can become a burden, confusion, and frustration. Money without wisdom becomes waste. A relationship without wisdom becomes war. Opportunity without wisdom becomes pressure. Freedom without wisdom becomes destruction. Knowledge without wisdom becomes pride. And maybe that is exactly what is happening to many people. The person is not suffering because they know nothing. They are suffering because they still have not learned how to turn knowledge into wise decisions, discipline, correction, maturity, and inner change. So before we continue, subscribe to the channel, because here we talk about biblical wisdom applied to real life. And write in the comments, "I need wisdom." Because this video is not just here to inform you. It is here to confront invisible patterns, expose hidden mistakes, correct a wrong mindset, and help you build your life with wisdom. And if you watch until the end, you may discover that the problem was never a lack of intelligence. Maybe it was a lack of wisdom to obey what you already knew. Intelligence accumulates information. Wisdom builds direction. There are many intelligent people living stuck, lost, and confused, not because they lack ability, but because they lack direction. The person knows many things, watches videos, reads powerful quotes, consumes content, understands theory, speaks well, explains deep problems. But when it comes to their own life, they still have no peace, no order, and keep repeating the same mistakes. And here is the point. Information is not transformation. Knowing a lot can fill your mind, but only wisdom can organize your steps. Because intelligence collects data, but wisdom asks, what do I do now with everything I already know? Think of a person inside a modern car with a powerful engine, GPS, comfortable seats, technology everywhere, everything working perfectly. But there is one problem. They do not know where they are going. So they accelerate, brake, turn down one street, go back to another, waste fuel, get tired, become frustrated, and in the end, they are still in the same place. That is how many people live. They have potential, intelligence, access, strength, but no direction. And when there is no direction, even movement becomes exhausting, even effort becomes emotional chaos, even knowledge becomes wasted potential. That is why maybe the most important question in your life today is not, what do I know? The real question is, what is wisdom telling me to do with what I already know? Because there is no point in knowing you need discipline and still living disorganized. There is no point in knowing you need to change your mindset and still making bad decisions. There is no point in knowing you need to seek God and still living on autopilot, overthinking, delaying too much, losing yourself too much. Maybe you are not stuck because you know nothing. Maybe you are stuck because you still have not obeyed what you already know. And this leads us to an even more uncomfortable truth. Sometimes the problem is not a lack of intelligence, it is hidden pride. Intelligence can feed pride, wisdom produces humility. There is a type of intelligence that, when it is not guided by wisdom, begins to feed pride inside a person. They learn a little, achieve a little, understand a few things, receive a few compliments, and suddenly they start thinking they no longer need correction. And this is a silent danger, because many people are not stuck because they lack ability. They are stuck because they do not accept advice. The person feels superior, justifies themselves all the time, gets offended by any correction, and turns every warning into a personal attack. But Proverbs teaches that wisdom is with the humble, because the humble person can still learn before they fall. Pride is like someone wearing dirty glasses while being convinced that the whole world is blurry. The person complains about their family, their job, their opportunities, their friends, their church, their life, and even God, but they never stop to clean their own vision. And listen, this happens to very intelligent people. The person knows how to argue, knows how to respond, knows how to prove their point, knows how to explain why everyone is wrong, except them. But while they protect their ego, they remain lost, frustrated, without direction, and repeating the same mistakes. Because intelligence without humility gives a person arguments to stay trapped. Wisdom begins when you trade defense for learning. Instead of asking, how can I prove I am right? You start asking, what am I still not seeing? That question can change an entire life, because a wise person learns from advice, from criticism, from closed doors, from losses, from delays, and even from failures. They do not waste correction. They do not call every confrontation persecution. They do not treat humility as weakness. They understand that being corrected today can save them from a fall tomorrow. A proud person would rather look right and remain stuck. A wise person accepts correction so they can finally grow. But there is another danger. Even when intelligence opens doors, only wisdom can keep you on the right path. Intelligence opens doors, wisdom keeps you on the right path. Intelligence may open doors, but only wisdom keeps you on the right path after the door opens. Because many people want a new opportunity, a better job, more money, more visibility, a relationship, a growing business, a different season, but they still carry the same disorder inside. They enter a new door with old habits. They receive more, but they do not manage better. They grow a little, but lose humility. And that is why some blessings turn into chaos. not because they were bad, but because the person did not have the maturity to sustain what they received. It is like someone receiving the key to a beautiful, large house, full of possibilities, but they do not know how to take care of it. The person does not clean, does not organize, does not repair, does not protect, does not manage. Over time, what seemed like a blessing begins to become a burden, confusion, and frustration. The problem was not the house. The problem was the lack of wisdom to govern the house. Life works the same way. More money requires more order, more influence requires more responsibility, more growth requires more discipline, more opportunity requires wiser decisions. Without that, a person conquers but does not remain. So before asking for more, maybe you need to ask yourself, do I have the wisdom to manage more? Do I have the discipline to sustain what I am asking for? Do I have the character to grow without losing myself? Because God is not only interested in opening doors for you, He also wants to form within you the wisdom necessary so you do not destroy what the door will bring. And here is a truth many people avoid. Sometimes the door is not closed because of rejection. It is closed because of protection. Because intelligence can take you to high places, but if the behavior does not change, the person destroys what they prayed for. Intelligence understands the problem. Wisdom changes the behavior. Some people understand exactly what the problem is, but they keep living as if they understood nothing. They say, I know I need to change. I know I need to get organized. I know I need to take better care of my money. I know I need to control my words. I know I need to seek God more. But life does not change with I know. Life changes when knowledge becomes action. Because intelligence recognizes the mistake, but wisdom makes the necessary correction to break the cycle. It is like a person who has a leak inside their house. They know where the leak is. They talk about the leak. They complain about the water on the floor. They research plumbing. They watch videos teaching how to fix it. And they even explain to other people how a leak works. But they do not shut off the water valve. They do not call for help. They do not pick up a tool. They do not make the repair. So the house keeps flooding. That is the life of many intelligent people. They know how to explain their own emotional chaos, but they do not change the behavior that keeps everything out of order. That is why you should not try to change everything at once, because that only increases tiredness and frustration. Choose one area where your lack of wisdom is costing you dearly. It could be your routine, your money, your words, your impulsiveness, your relationships, your laziness, your pride, or your lack of consistency. Start with one practical correction. Organize a drawer, review your expenses, ask for forgiveness, hold back a harsh response, keep one small commitment, pray before making a decision. Because the truth you do not practice becomes just another piece of information inside a tired mind. And when the mind knows too much, but the will does not obey, an enemy is born called self-sabotage. Intelligence without self-control becomes self-sabotage. A person can be very intelligent and still destroy their own life because of a lack of self-control. They know what they should do, but they do not govern their will. They know they should stay silent, but they explode. They know they should save money, but they buy on impulse. They know they should wait, but they rush ahead. They know they should be consistent, but they quit halfway. And little by little, they become frustrated, tired, without peace, repeating the same mistakes and calling personality what is actually a lack of wisdom to govern themselves. Proverbs compares a person without self-control to a broken-down city without walls. This is very strong because a city without walls is vulnerable to any attack. Any enemy can enter, any threat can invade, any pressure can dominate. And that is how many people live inside. Any emotion decides, any desire commands, any provocation controls, any fear changes their direction. Intelligence may decorate the house, but only wisdom puts up doors, limits, and protection. Without that, the mind stays too open for emotional chaos to come in and govern everything. That is why a wise person decides before the pressure arrives. They do not wait until they are angry to decide how they will respond. They do not wait until they receive money to decide how they will spend it. They do not wait until they are tempted to define their boundaries. They do not wait until they are tired to decide whether they will quit. They create order before the impulse appears. Because the greatest sign of wisdom is not knowing how to explain life. It is being able to govern yourself when life pressures you. And when someone begins to govern their own mind, their own words, their own time, and their own reactions, something changes. Life stops being mere survival and begins to flow with more direction. Wisdom is the secret of a life that flows. Many people think life flows only because of luck, talent, or opportunity, but Proverbs shows something deeper. Life begins to flow when wisdom creates order inside. Because there is no point in wanting peace while feeding confusion, wanting prosperity while living without a plan, wanting growth without discipline, wanting direction while making decisions on impulse. A person may be intelligent, may have good ideas, may have potential, but if there is no order in their words, money, time, emotions, and priorities, everything begins to become heavy. And little by little, what could have been construction becomes exhaustion. It is like someone trying to build a house without a blueprint, without measurements, without a foundation, and without organization. The person buys materials, starts one wall, changes their mind, tears it down, rebuilds, spends money, gets frustrated, and then says, "My life never works out." But the problem was not a lack of material, it was a lack of wisdom in the construction. That is how it happens with many people. They have faith, but no order. They have a desire to grow, but no routine. They have dreams, but no alignment. They have opportunity, but still carry the wrong mindset. And where wisdom is missing, even something good can become confusion. So before you act, ask, is this wise? Before you spend, ask, does this build or destroy? Before you respond, ask, does this bring peace or war? Before you insist, ask, is this faith or stubbornness? These questions may seem simple, but they begin to break broken patterns and hidden mistakes that were governing your life. Life does not become perfect, but it becomes more manageable. You still face battles, but you do not turn every battle into destruction. You still go through pressure, but you do not lose direction. And when wisdom begins to put order in the inner house, you realize there is a deeper source behind that wisdom. True wisdom begins when you fear the Lord. True wisdom does not begin when you know more, read more, speak better, or understand more success strategies. It begins when God stops being just a beautiful idea in your mind and becomes the real reference point for your decisions. Because many people want the fruits of wisdom, but they do not want to surrender to the source of wisdom. They want direction, but they do not want correction. They want clarity, but they do not want to abandon the wrong mindset. They want life transformation, but they keep treating their own will as the final authority. And Proverbs is direct. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. To fear the Lord is not to live afraid of God, as if he were waiting for you to make a mistake so he could punish you. To fear the Lord is to recognize God knows more than I do. It is understanding that not everything I want is good for me. Not everything that seems right is wise. Not every beautiful path ends well. The intelligent person asks what works, but the wise person asks what is right before God. The intelligent person asks, how can I get more? But the wise person asks, do I have the spiritual maturity to manage more without losing myself? That difference changes everything. Think of a compass. You can have the best map, the best backpack, the best preparation, and the best energy. But if the compass is not calibrated, you walk a lot and get even more lost. The fear of the Lord is that inner compass. Without Him, a person can be brilliant on the outside and live without direction on the inside. They can have arguments, but no peace. They can have external success, but emotional chaos. They can look strong, but be spiritually lost. That is why building your life with wisdom begins when you surrender more, listen more, obey more, and allow God to align your steps. Because now we are not talking only about intelligence, we are talking about a life guided by wisdom. There is no point in being intelligent if you do not have wisdom. Because intelligence may help you understand many things, may give you beautiful words, strong arguments, interesting ideas, and a mind full of information, but wisdom teaches you to live the right way. Intelligence accumulates content, but wisdom builds direction. Intelligence can feed pride, but wisdom produces humility. Intelligence can open doors, but wisdom keeps you on the right path. Intelligence understands the problem, but wisdom changes the behavior. And maybe this is the truth you needed to face today. Your life is not stuck because you have no potential. Maybe it is stuck because you lack the wisdom to manage that potential. Maybe the problem is not a lack of opportunity, but a lack of maturity to sustain the opportunity when it arrives. Maybe the problem is not a lack of money, but a lack of wisdom to govern money. Maybe the problem is not a lack of love, but a lack of wisdom to care for the relationships God allows to come into your life. Because a person can be intelligent and still remain lost. They can be talented and still have no direction. They can be capable and still remain frustrated. They can understand many things and still live in emotional chaos. They can know what they need to do and even so keep repeating the same mistakes. And this happens because knowledge without practice becomes a burden. Truth without obedience becomes pressure. Information without correction becomes just more noise inside a tired mind. Proverbs is not only trying to make you think better. Proverbs is trying to make you live better. It is trying to teach you to make wise decisions, break broken patterns, abandon hidden mistakes, correct a wrong mindset, and build your life with wisdom. Because a wise life is not a perfect life. It is a correctable life, a teachable life, a life that learns, a life that stops turning impulse into destiny and begins to choose direction. So today, the question is not, are you intelligent? The question is, are you willing to become wise? Are you willing to be corrected? Are you willing to abandon pride? Are you willing to stop justifying bad decisions? Are you willing to trade haste for direction, confusion for clarity, disorder for discipline, pride for humility, and impulse for self-control? Because true transformation begins when you stop only knowing and start obeying what wisdom has already shown you. And above all, true wisdom begins when you fear the Lord, when God stops being just a beautiful idea and becomes the reference point for your decisions. When you stop asking only, what do I want? And begin asking, what is right before God? When you understand that the wisdom that changes a life does not begin when you know more, but when you surrender more. Because it is not how much you know that defines your future. It is how much you apply with wisdom. If this message spoke to you, write in the comments, I choose wisdom. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to keep learning about biblical wisdom from Proverbs. And share this video with someone who needs to understand that intelligence without wisdom does not build a prosperous life.